Welcome, family, on this Sabbath day or seventh day, Shabbat. Today we're going to be discussing the 3/5 compromise, part 2. Okay, I'm going to be reading from my notes here that was taken from Wikipedia about the 3/5 compromise. So here we go. I'm going to read from my notes now. The impact of the 3/5 compromise before the Civil War. The 3/5 compromise gave a disproportionate representation of slave states in the House of Representatives until the Civil War. In 1793, the Southern states had 47 of 105 members, but would have had 33 had seats been assigned based on free populations. In 1812, slave states had 76 out of 143 instead of 59 they would have had. In 1833, 98 out of 240 instead of 73. The result, the Southern states had disproportionate influence on the U.S. presidency through the Electoral College, the speakership of the House, and the Supreme Court or the judiciary in the period prior to the Civil War. Also, the number of slave and free states remained mostly equal until 1850, safeguarding the Southern bloc in the length as well as electoral, or in the Senate as well as the Electoral College votes. One historian stated that without these slave state votes, Thomas Jefferson, the slaveholder, would have lost the presidential election of 1800. That's pretty significant. Also, slavery would have been excluded from Missouri. Jackson's Indian removal policy would have failed, and the Wilmot provision would have banned slavery in territories won from Mexico, and the Kansas-Nebraska bill would have failed. Okay, the 3/5 compromise impact after the Civil War. Section 2 of the 14th Amendment repealed the 3/5 compromise. 13th Amendment banned slavery except as punishment for crimes, provided for penal servitude. After Reconstruction ended in 1877, Jim Crow was established, which disenfranchised freed slaves while obtaining the benefit of their numbers in the total population. Abraham Lincoln was the first Republican U.S. president with a Republican Congress who banned slavery in 1865. Okay, with this 3/5 compromise, after the Jim Crow, it gave the Southern bloc an even greater voting power than in the antebellum era. Okay, so they got even more power after Reconstruction ended. Okay. The disenfranchisement of former enslaved made Congress in 1900 propose stripping the South of seats related to the number of people who were barred from voting. The Southern bloc power prevented Congress from changing apportionment of the South representatives. The Southern bloc voting power bloc remained powerful until the 1960s. Their representatives, re-elected repeatedly by one-party states, at the time they were Democrats, controlled numerous chairmanships of important committees in both houses on the basis of seniority, giving them control over rules, budgets, and important patronage projects, among other issues. Their power allowed them to defeat federal legislation against racial violence and abuses in the South until the 1960s. Okay, so also we have many people saying that the Republican Party was originally the party of the freedom, and now the Democrats are claiming that advantage, but all of those former Southern slaveholding states are now Republican. So that that legacy is transferred from the South, from the Democrat Party. Now it's in the Republican Party. So this is why you have so many people saying that they are against the Republican Party today, because many of those slaveholding states and those people had switched allegiance from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party after the civil rights bills were passed in the 60s. So this is where you have a change of parties from the slave states and also colors. And this was also done to fool and mislead the people. Okay. So, following the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 under President Lyndon Baines Johnson, the Southern states, the Confederacy, became more reliably red, Republican in presidential politics, while Northeastern states became more reliably Democratic or blue. 1976 was the last year a Democratic presidential candidate won a majority of Southern electoral votes. The Republicans took all the region's electoral votes in the 1984 election in every state except West Virginia in 1988. The Republican Party was founded March 20, 1854 in Ripon, Wisconsin. Okay. So this just gives you a little history of the two parties. It wasn't until the 1990s that Democratic or blue control began to implode, starting with the election of 1994, in which the Republicans, red, gained control of both houses of Congress through the rest of the decade. 2000, George W. Bush lost the popular vote to Gore, 48.4% to 47.9%. 2006, Republican Donald Trump lost the popular vote to Hillary Clinton, 48.2% to 46.1%. Okay, so this goes to show as well that it doesn't matter. You can, as presidential candidates, you can get the popular vote, but if you don't have the electoral college votes, you won't win. So today our people are still dealing with the legacy of the 3/5 compromise in the loss of the political power, economic power, the jobs, and all of the things that the slaveholding Southern Bloc controlled really from the beginning. From the beginning, 1787 through the Civil War, and then starting again after Reconstruction, all the way up until today. So this is the legacy that our people are dealing with, and this is why many of our people are demanding reparations. So with that, I'm going to end this video. If you like the video, please hit the like button. If you're a new subscriber, thank you for subscribing. Please leave your comments below, and I'll see you on the next video. Shalom.